Picture yourself trying to fall asleep tonight. You turn off the lights. The room goes dark. For a split second, something ancient stirs in your brain. A flash of vulnerability. A quickening pulse. You're safe, of course. But your body doesn't know that. It's running software written over millions of years, when darkness meant something entirely different. Our ancestors couldn't flip a switch. When the sun dropped below the horizon, they entered a world where they were outmatched in every way that mattered, and the fossil record proves it. Tonight, we'll meet the prehistoric nightmares that stalked our ancestors in the dark, from giant hyenas that cracked human skulls like walnuts to silent leopards that left only puncture wounds in bone. The evidence reveals exactly what hunted us, how they killed, and why the human brain still treats darkness as the enemy it once was. Here's the brutal math of night vision. A leopard sees 6 times better than you in low light. 6 times. That's the difference between spotting danger at 60 feet versus 10 feet. By the time a Paleolithic human detected movement in the darkness, the predator was already within striking distance. This disadvantage stems from our eye structure. Human eyes evolved for excellent color vision and detail recognition in daylight, perfect for spotting ripe fruit or tracking game across open savanna. But we sacrifice night vision for these daytime advantages. Our retinas have fewer rod cells than nocturnal predators. We lack the reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum that makes cat eyes glow in the dark and amplifies available light. The technical details matter because they quantify our vulnerability. Rod cells detect light and movement in darkness. Humans have about 120 million rods per eye. Sounds impressive until you learn that cats have nearly 200 million. But rod count alone doesn't tell the whole story. The tapetum lucidum acts like a mirror behind the retina, giving photons a second chance to strike rod cells. This biological mirror can increase light sensitivity by up to 44%. Combine superior rod density with light amplification, and you understand why a leopard navigates confidently through darkness that leaves humans helpless. While a human stumbled blind through moonless nights, the predators moved with confidence. Hyenas navigated by scent trails invisible to us. Their olfactory bulbs, the brain regions processing smell, are proportionally 40% larger than humans. They could smell prey from over a mile away, track days-old scent trails, and distinguish between healthy and weakened individuals by odor alone. Their hearing could pinpoint the breathing of sleeping prey from dozens of yards away. Saber-toothed cats used forward-facing eyes with overlapping fields of vision to judge distance precisely in near darkness. Even their whiskers served as proximity sensors in total blackness. The fossil evidence from Swartkrans Cave in South Africa tells us what this meant. Here, archaeologists found something telling. The bones of our ancestors mixed with those of leopards, hyenas, and saber-toothed cats. But the human bones show a pattern. Many are from individuals who died at night. The tooth marks, the way the bones were cached, it all points to nocturnal predation. Bob Brain, who excavated Swartkrans, calculated that leopards alone killed at least 20% of the early hominins at the site. 1 in 5 of our ancestors at this location ended their lives in a leopard's jaws. The killing pattern was consistent. Leopards prefer to cache their kills in trees or caves, returning to feed over several days. Human bones at Swartkrans were found in exactly these cache positions, mixed with remains of baboons and small antelopes, the leopard's typical prey. We were the only primates who couldn't retreat to the safety of the highest branches when darkness fell. Our ancestors had traded tree-climbing agility for upright walking. Chimpanzees build sleeping nests 40 feet up. Orangutans construct elaborate platforms in the canopy. But by 3 million years ago, hominin anatomy had shifted. Our arms shortened, our legs lengthened, our feet lost their grasping ability. We gained efficient bipedal locomotion, but lost our nighttime refuge. Now they face the night with poor vision, exposed on the ground, surrounded by predators designed for darkness. The darkness belonged to specialists. Each had evolved specific tools for night hunting over millions of years. Start with Dinophilis, the false saber-tooth. Lioness-sized but built like a leopard, it operated alone. At South African sites, Dinophilis remains appear alongside Australopithecus africanus and Paranthropus robustus bones. The pattern suggests ambush predation, solitary attacks from cover, probably at water sources or along regular paths. Its shorter sabers were perfect for a killing bite to the skull or neck of a small hominin. Dinofelis deserves special attention because it might have specialized in hunting primates, including hominins. Its teeth show adaptations for crushing rather than slicing, perfect for primate skulls. At Kromdrei, Swartkrans, and Sterkfontein, Dinofelis fossils consistently appear in the same deposits as hominin remains. Statistical analysis by paleontologist C.K. Brain showed this association exceeded chance. Dinofelis might have been a hominin specialist. Then there was Pachycracuta brevirostris, the giant short-faced hyena. At 110 kilograms, it stood as tall as a lion, but unlike lions, these hyenas hunted in coordinated packs. Their jaws generated enough force to crack open elephant femurs. What chance did a human skull have? The biomechanics are staggering. Bite force quotient measures jaw power relative to body size. Modern spotted hyenas score 117, already enough to splinter bones that lions leave untouched. Pachycracuta, based on skull structure and muscle attachment sites, likely exceeded 150. For comparison, humans score about 40. At Dragon Bone Hill in China, Homo erectus bones, mostly skullcaps and limb fragments, fill ancient hyena dens. The long bones are cracked open, marrow extracted. The cave lion, Panthera spelaea, dominated the open country. 15% larger than modern lions, they hunted in groups with sophisticated coordination. Their eyes had high concentrations of rod cells, and that reflective tapetum lucidum. In darkness, they could spot prey hundreds of feet away, while remaining invisible themselves. Cave paintings at Chauvet show humans understood these predators intimately. Every curve and muscle rendered with the precision of fear-driven observation. Recent DNA analysis of cave lion remains revealed something unexpected. They represented a separate lineage that diverged over 500,000 years ago. This matters because it means their behavior might have differed from living lions in crucial ways. Isotope analysis of their bones suggests a diet heavy in reindeer and young cave bears, but also occasionally humans. At Kent's Cavern in England, cave lion remains were found in direct association with human tools and bones, suggesting deadly encounters. Ornimegalonyx, the giant Cuban owl, stood over a meter tall. Its talons matched a tiger's claws in size. Unlike mammalian predators that announce themselves with growls or footfalls, owls flew in total silence. Specialized feather structures eliminated the sound of air passing over their wings. Death could drop from above without warning. The physics of silent flight deserve explanation. Owl flight feathers have 3 adaptations: a comb-like leading edge that breaks up air turbulence, a soft fringe on the trailing edge that muffles sound, and a velvet-like surface that absorbs remaining noise. The result is flight so quiet that prey animals show no reaction until talons pierce flesh. Now scale that to Ornimegalonyx size, a 20-kilogram bird striking with 8-centimeter talons at 40 miles per hour in absolute silence. When rain or cold drove early humans to seek shelter, caves seemed like obvious protection. Solid walls, a single entrance to defend, protection from the elements. But the caves were contested territory. The name cave lion exists for a reason. These massive predators preferred cave entrances for their dens, especially pregnant females seeking safe places to give birth. Cave bears, cave hyenas, the pattern repeats. The very shelters humans needed for survival were already occupied by apex predators. The mathematics of cave competition were unforgiving. Suitable caves, dry, spacious, with defensible entrances, were rare. In glacial periods, when survival without shelter meant death, every cave became precious. But these same features that attracted humans also attracted predators. The result was inevitable conflict, recorded in alternating layers of bones and tools, coprolites, and hearths. At Guattari Cave in Italy, archaeologists uncovered a scene of ancient horror. 9 Neanderthal skeletons, 7 adult males, 1 female, 1 child, lay scattered among thousands of other bones. The patterns matched hyena-feeding behavior. This cave had been a hyena den, and over thousands of years, hyenas had dragged human victims inside to consume at leisure. The details make it worse. Some Neanderthal bones showed evidence of fresh breaks. the kind that occur in living or recently dead bone. Others displayed the polishing that comes from being repeatedly moved around a den. The accumulation wasn't from a single event, but from repeated predation over centuries. Hyenas had treated Neanderthals exactly as they treated horses, deer, and other prey, as a reliable food source to be exploited whenever opportunity arose. Competition for caves created a deadly dynamic. Humans needed fire to survive cold nights, but smoke could reveal their position. The smell of cooking meat attracted predators. Yet without fire, the darkness inside a cave was absolute. Advantage predator. Archaeological layers at sites across Europe and Africa show alternating occupation. Sometimes human tools and hearths, sometimes gnawed bones and coprolites from large carnivores. Back and forth, the caves changed hands. Even when humans held a cave, they weren't safe. Leopards could enter silently, navigating by scent and whisker touch in total darkness. The SK54 fossil, a young Paranthropus robustus skull with 2 neat puncture holes, was found in a cave. The spacing matches a leopard's canines exactly. The angle suggests the killing bite came from above, probably as the victim slept. Every night survived was a lesson encoded in genes and behavior. The pressure was relentless. Those who adapted lived to reproduce. Those who didn't became fossil evidence of predation. The first adaptation was social. Solitary humans stood no chance against pack hunters or ambush predators, but groups could post sentries, maintain fires through the night, and mount collective defense. The fossil record shows increasing evidence of group living sites, larger hearths, more extensive toolmaking areas, defensive arrangements of stones or thorns. Group living created its own evolutionary pressures. Darkness made visual communication impossible, accelerating the development of complex vocal communication. The human larynx sits lower in the throat than in other primates, a dangerous adaptation that increases choking risk but allows for a wider range of sounds. This anatomical trade-off only makes sense if vocal communication provided survival advantages that outweighed the risks. Coordinating defense in darkness provides exactly that selective pressure. Fire mastery became non-negotiable. Early control of fire dates back 400,000 years or more, but the Upper Paleolithic shows sophisticated fire management, multiple hearths in a single shelter, evidence of slow-burning materials that could last all night, torch remnants near cave entrances. Fire didn't just provide light. The smoke irritated predator eyes, the crackling sounds masked human noises, and the heat created thermal barriers that disrupted scent tracking. Different woods burn at different rates and temperatures. Hardwoods like oak provide long-lasting coals. Resinous pine creates bright light but burns quickly. Archaeological hearths show selective use of fuel types, slow-burning wood for overnight warmth, fast-burning kindling for quick light, even evidence of banking coals to preserve fire through weather. Tool evolution accelerated under predation pressure. Early wooden spears required close-quarters combat with dangerous prey, but by 400,000 years ago at Schöningen, Germany, humans crafted throwing spears with perfect balance points. The innovation meant humans could strike from outside the reach of claws and teeth. By 50,000 years ago, spear throwers amplified throwing distance even further. The bow and arrow, appearing around 20,000 years ago in some regions, finally gave humans a true distance advantage. The Schöningen spears have their center of gravity positioned exactly where modern javelins place it for maximum flight stability. Spear throwers work as lever systems, increasing launch velocity by 60% compared to hand throwing. Arrows flew even faster, delivering kinetic energy comparable to modern hunting rifles. Each innovation pushed the kill zone farther from the killer, critical when your prey fights back. But the most profound changes were cognitive. Darkness demanded prediction and planning. Where would predators approach from? Which sounds meant danger versus harmless nighttime activity? How much wood would keep a fire burning until dawn? This constant threat assessment drove development of working memory, pattern recognition, and scenario planning, the foundations of human intelligence. The human brain carries a detailed map of Paleolithic fears. Psychologists call them prepared fears, anxieties that develop too quickly and universally to be purely learned. Darkness tops the list, followed by heights, enclosed spaces, and specific animals like snakes and spiders. But look closer at these fears. They're not random. They're a catalog of contexts where predation risk peaked. Modern neuroscience reveals how deeply these fears are embedded. The amygdala, our brain's alarm system, responds to darkness before conscious awareness kicks in. Brain imaging shows increased activity in threat detection regions within 30 milliseconds of light reduction. That's faster than conscious thought. The fear arrives before we know why we're afraid. Children's nighttime behaviors preserve ancient survival strategies. The universal demand for checking under beds and in closets before sleep, that's cave-checking behavior. The insistence on nightlights? Fire maintenance. The way children call out to ensure parents are still there? Vocal confirmation that the group hasn't abandoned them to predators. Studies of children's nighttime fears across cultures find remarkable consistency. Fear of darkness emerges around age 2, when a Paleolithic child would become mobile enough to wander from safety. Fears of monsters and predators peak between ages 4 to 6, old enough to understand danger, but too young to defend against it. These fears diminish around age 10 to 12, when prehistoric children would begin contributing to group defense. Even modern sleep disorders echo Paleolithic threats. Sleep paralysis, where people wake unable to move, often sensing a threatening presence, might reflect an adaptation for remaining motionless when predators were near. Our social behaviors show predator influence too. Humans are unique among primates in forming long-term pair bonds and maintaining extended family connections. This creates multiple layers of nighttime protection, more eyes watching, more hands to tend fires, more voices to raise alarm. The fossil record captures the turning point. Around 48,000 years ago in Germany, someone thrust a wooden spear between the ribs of a cave lion. The cat died, and its skeleton preserved that wooden point, the earliest direct evidence of humans hunting their hunters. The spear entered at an angle suggesting tactical approach. The lion was probably sleeping or feeding when attacked. Humans had learned predator behavior well enough to become predators themselves. The cognitive shift this represents is staggering. For millions of years, the sight of a cave lion meant run, hide, or die. Now humans could override that instinctive terror, plan an approach, and strike. This required not just courage, but theory of mind, understanding what the lion could perceive, predicting its reactions, exploiting its vulnerabilities. By 30,000 years ago, the evidence multiplies. Neanderthal sites show systematic processing of cave lion remains, not scavenging, but hunting. Cut marks indicate careful skinning for pelts. Canine teeth appear as ornaments. The hunters had become trophies. The psychological transformation was complete. Wearing predator teeth and claws served multiple functions. Practically, it might have provided camouflage scent. Socially, it displayed hunting prowess. But most importantly, it represented psychological dominance. The terror of the night transformed into decoration. The feared became the conquered. Dogs entered the human arsenal around 15,000 years ago or earlier. Descended from wolves but selected for cooperation with humans, dogs provided early warning systems that operated in darkness. Their superior night senses combined with human intelligence created an unbeatable combination. Predators that had counted on stealth now faced detection at distances that eliminated their advantage. The partnership was revolutionary. Dogs could track scents humans couldn't detect, hear sounds beyond human range, and see movement in near darkness. But unlike wolves, dogs looked to humans for guidance. This created a sensory network that covered human blind spots while maintaining human tactical control. Night watches became effective. Approaching predators triggered alerts while still distant. The darkness lost its advantage. Projectile technology reached a tipping point. Bow and arrow technology meant a human could kill a leopard from outside the range of its charge. Poisoned arrows, evident from residue analysis on ancient points, meant even a grazing hit could prove fatal. The predator-prey dynamic reversed. Now large carnivores needed to fear humans, not the other way around. By 10,000 years ago, most of humanity's ancient predators were extinct or in steep decline. Cave lions, gone. Saber-toothed cats, gone. Giant hyenas, gone. Some fell to climate change, but human hunting pressure accelerated their end. We had won the night. But victory came with a price encoded in our genes. We remain the only species that fears the dark despite conquering it. That ancient software still runs, firing anxiety with each sunset, keeping some primitive part of us alert for eye shine beyond the campfire. Stand outside tonight when clouds hide the moon. Feel that ancestral unease as your eyes strain against blackness. Listen to your breathing quicken at unexpected sounds. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. For most of human existence, we were not the apex predator. We were prey. The next time you flip that light switch, pause for a moment. You're exercising a power our ancestors could only dream of, the ability to banish darkness at will. That simple act ends a story 6 million years in the making, a story written in fossil bones and midnight fears, a story where, against all odds, the prey became the predator, and the night finally became ours. But in the darkest corners of our minds, in the fears we can't quite name, in the way we still gather around glowing screens as our ancestors gathered around fires, we remember. We remember when the darkness had teeth,